the B Plus Wrestling Podcast.
The Moose.
You might not be an A, but you are a B plus.
Check it out! Here we go! You wanna mess with us? Cause we're steady on the ground, steady on the ground. You wanna mess with us?
Hello, and welcome to the Wrestling Landscape Podcast. I am your host, Lance Larson, and this is the casual wrestling podcast, the informal wrestling podcast. And on today's episode, I am drinking nothing. I even forgot to get a glass of water. I could pause right now and go get it. Or I'm only 20 seconds in, just start over. But I won't. Because I'm sitting down, already got everything set up, and I hit record. So we're just going to push on through. This is Tokyo Dreamin, where we talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling. Maybe some other Japanese wrestling if I got around to watching it that week. This week I did not, as I am still somewhat playing catch-up. But after this, should be back in the groove of things with the normal Wrestling Landscape schedule. Which, moving forward, will be Wednesday Night War episodes, talking about the AEW and NXT episodes from Wednesday night every week. Episodes like this, Tokyo Dreamin, where we're talking New Japan. And Wrestling Rewind, where we're looking at old episodes. And that'll be the main stuff I focus on. If I have time for other stuff, great. But that's what I'm going to focus on. So today we are going to talk a little bit about Royal Quest, a little bit about the Young Lions Cup and the Road to Destruction Tour, and then preview the top matches on the Destruction Tour itself. So, New Japan Pro Wrestling Royal Quest from London, England on Saturday, August the 31st. Listen, we've all heard about the tech issues. They affected me too. One of the reasons why me talking about it is coming out so late. But it also means a lot of the hot takes, a lot of the takes just in general are already out there, including on the B Plus podcast feed. So you can go check those out, particularly on their flagship episode, the first of a weekly flagship episode, which I'm very excited about for the B+. Some thoughts there, so go check that out. For me, this will be a very abbreviated, quote-unquote, review, as in more just giving generalized thoughts, and really only reviewing 2 matches. But the undercard, from which I did not see all of, but from the little that I saw, and from what I heard from others, was good! Was very, very solid. But it was the New Japan undercard, where I don't want to say meaningless tags, but less meaningful tags. But from what I hear, it was solid. Once we got to the title matches, particularly GOD defending the IWGP Heavyweight Tag titles against Aussie Open, I thought that match was good. I did not think it was great. Others have said this as well. Felt like it's somewhat underperformed. But I do hope Aussie Open gets more chances with New Japan in the future. From the sounds of it, they will. Everyone is predicting them to be in Tag League this year. I hope that's true. I don't know if anyone's reported that with any, actual reporting, not just just the way New Japan usually books. Aussie Open will probably be in Tag League this year. I think that's all the sentiment out there. I don't think I've heard anyone actually report that. Yes, they know from a source that Aussie Open will be on that tour, but everyone seems to think they will be. I'm going to go with the consensus on this one. I think they will be too, or at least I hope so. So, good for those guys. A couple of Aussie boys making it big in the UK, and hopefully Japan very soon. When it comes to the Tomohiro Ishii versus Kenta Never Openweight title match, I don't really have anything else to add. I think every thought I have on the match has been stated elsewhere, both with the bigger wrestling news outlets and the smaller ones. So, if you've heard anyone talk about that match, I'm sure you've already heard my views there. I won't be saying anything new on that match, so I'm really not even going to talk about it anymore. And then we get to the top 2 matches, which was Hiroshi Tanahashi defeating Zack Sabre Jr. to win the Rev Pro Heavyweight Championship. And a very good match. A very solid match, which for Tanahashi, I think one of the reasons why he's been paired with Zack so much this year is because his body's breaking down, and Zack's style is so safe and minimally bumpy, if I can put it that way, which is a very unintelligent way of putting it, but you know what I mean. It's very easy on Tana's body. So I think that's one of the reasons why he's worked so much with him this year. And the match was good. It was exactly what you'd expect with Tana Zach. Very solid work, lots of grappliness, but did not peak very high. But for what it was, I thought it was very good. Now that said, I gave it 3 3/4. I don't know if I feel like maybe I should have given it a solid 4 flat. Now that I'm thinking about it more, maybe I should have, because the work was obviously there. But it's not like there's nothing terribly creative, no like insane amount of excellent execution or anything like that. It didn't peak very high towards the end in the climax. But everything about it was good and solid and made sense. And well executed. Not like phenomenally executed, like, oh my god, that was done so well. But everything was well done. So, I gave it 3 3/4 is what I wrote down. I feel like maybe I should give it 4. But nonetheless, very, very good. Tana wins, which is funny, because everyone, myself included, felt like Zach was going to retain here. And honestly, I did not expect them to rematch on the Destruction Tour so quickly. But they are. Tana wins the belt from Zach. Tana's the new Rev Pro champion. I do not follow Rev Pro as nearly as closely as I used to. I have heard from many that they do enjoy putting the belt on New Japan wrestlers. Tana's obviously a super over guy. He can get some tours in London, get some vacay time out of it, maybe. So, sure, get why Rev Pro would want to do that. And I'm assuming who won this match would... I guess I don't want to say it's solely a Rev Pro call, but I would assume Rev Pro would have the majority of the input on who's winning this match. And who knows, like, I don't know exactly how the partnership works when the other company's title is on the line for a different company's show. I would assume Rev Pro would be the one picking the champion. But we shall see where that goes. They are rematching the Destruction Tour. I'll preview that later. So honestly, the title could go back to Zach before Tana even has a chance to defend it in Rev Pro. Because the rematch is 2 weeks after this match. So I don't know how much that'll affect Rev Pro, the company. But Tana wins here, which everyone's kind of surprised about. Thought Zach would get the win, be more protected in New Japan. But not like the decision here greatly affects any of that. In the main event, we had Kazuchika Okada retaining the IWGP Heavyweight Championship over Minoru Suzuki in a very, very good match. Everyone's talked about how great this match is. I really liked it as well. I don't think it was as good as the other top tier matches of the weekend. I think the Bucks Lucha Bros in the ladder match was better. I think Walter Bate was better. I think the Triangle Tag match, that might come down to preference. This match was probably better. See, I don't know. I did not think Suzuki was very good at bumping in this match. His age was showing when he had to take big bumps, particularly off Okada's dropkick. And things just looked bad. Like, I don't know if it's just because, years and years of MMA and pro wrestling and that stuff just adds up and your body just can't take as much as it can. So he had some really shitty bumping on some of the cells. But besides that, most of the match was very good. I did not like some of the pacing, especially outside the ring stuff. Felt like that took too long, took me kind of out of it, disrupted the flow of the match for me. I was not into that. So I think if you take that out, and not that the match went too long, but that unnecessary stuff certainly added to the length. So I feel like this match could have been better. Suzuki had tightened up some of his bumping. They worked out some of those pacing issues. But for what it was, I felt like there was at least 3 matches better than it. Am I really going with that tag match is better than it? I can't decide. There was a minimum of 2 matches better than it. So best case scenario, this was the 3rd best match of the weekend, in my humble opinion. And to me, the Walter Bate Bucks Lucha Bros matches were clearly better. Now, I wrote down 4.5 for this match, which I feel like I should stick to, because it felt like a 4.5 star match. Maybe 4.25 if I was in a grumpier mood. Because a lot of the stuff was very good. But, I gave Walter Bate 4.5, and now I really feel like I should give Walter versus Tyler Bate 4 3/4. Because that match needs, yes, it was better, and matches can be rated the same and one be better than the other, if it's marginally better, but I don't feel like it was marginally better. I feel like Walter versus Tyler was clearly better. So I'm officially changing my rating of that match to 4 3/4, and I'm going to stick to this with 4.5. Which may be a little generous, but there's so much about it that was good, and the crowd fucking loved it. Like, I feel like if you ask most people in that crowd, they would have gone higher than 4 1/4. So I just feel like I'd be cheating. I'm going 4 1/4, and I've spent way too much time talking about the particulars of my rating on this match. It was very good. Okada's motherfucking Kazuchika Okada, one of, if not the best in the world. Some good exchanges down the stretch. The highlights were Suzuki pounding Okada, which the crowd reacted incredibly strong to. So, good match, but certainly, for my opinion, not in the discussion of best match of the weekend. To me, that is still Lucha Bros, Bucks, or Walter versus Tyler Bate. Those are the two matches you're deciding which is the match of the weekend. So, from what I've seen and from what I've heard from others, overall thumbs up show on Royal Quest. Obviously, the technical issues hurt it. You gotta think New Japan's coming back to London. It seems like the US, UK, and Australia are all targets for them, which I think is very wise. Because if you're adding English commentary and doing the best you can to have English-speaking content, branching out to other English-speaking countries is obviously very, very smart. I think they should look into Canada and New Zealand as well. I'm still shocked they never went to Canada when Kenny was champion. Like, they could have drawn several thousand in Toronto, you gotta think. I also wonder if part of that was out of respect for Ring of Honor, because Toronto's a strong Ring of Honor town. Obviously, that's gone out the window since then, because New Japan has been very brazen in going to Ring of Honor cities and even Ring of Honor buildings. So I don't know if they were ready to kind of be that boldly separated from Ring of Honor at that time, and they felt like Toronto was the only Canadian city that would have been big enough and a strong enough wrestling city for them to draw in. I still think taking Kenny to any major Canadian city would have worked. Vancouver, Calgary, Winnipeg might be too small, but that is his hometown, and Chris Jericho was the IC champ. So, there's a part of me that felt like they could have done something in Canada. But they didn't. I think they should try to do stuff in Canada. I think they should try to do stuff in New Zealand. It's not like they don't have any connections to New Zealand. Jay White and Bad Luck Fale are New Zealanders. They have a connection with the Fale Dojo down in New Zealand. I feel like they should do stuff in Canada and New Zealand as well. South Africa, obviously, English is one of the major languages there as well. I don't know what the wrestling fan base is like in South Africa, if that's something that would be worth New Japan getting into. Obviously, they look at their data, they know how many subscribers they have where. I would assume they're not big in South Africa. Maybe they're not big in Canada, and that's why they haven't gone there. Maybe they're not big in New Zealand, and that's why they haven't gone there. But I feel like, with how little is known about South Africa, I get them not going there. But Canada and New Zealand are like the other two major English-speaking countries where I feel like they could do business. So, random thoughts on that. On this Road to Destruction tour, which is going on currently, there was a show this morning as I record this. And then there'll be another couple Road 2 shows on Tuesday and Wednesday, and maybe Thursday too, if I recall correctly. And then we get to the actual proper Destruction shows on September 15th, 16th, and 22nd. But on this Road 2 show, and the main Destruction shows, the Young Lions Cup is going on. Which I am in no way, shape, or form making time to watch all the matches, after how much Champions Carnival and Best of the Super Juniors and G1 I don't want to say burn me out, but like after watching every single match from those tournaments, like I needed time off, and so I'm not doing that to myself again with the Young Lions Cup. So I'll just be picking and choosing. So far the only match from the Young Lions Cup I have watched is Ren Narita defeating Carl Fredericks from the September 5th show at Corkin. It was a very good, very solid match. Really exactly what you'd expect from those two names. I want to say like probably an 8-minute match bell to bell. Very, very good for what it was. So as of Sunday, September the 8th, US time, and Japan time, the standings in the Young Lions Cup are Alex Coughlin with 4 points, Ren Narita with 2, Carl Fredericks with 2, Clark Connors with 2, Michael Richards with 2, Shota Umino with 2, Yoda Tsugi with 2, and Yuya Uemura with 0. So really, with how many matches are left, it's still anyone's game. Even Yorimura, I think, because they all should have, because it's one round robin tournament, and I think at most people only have 3 matches done. So I believe everyone is still mathematically alive. And we will talk about it closing up as we get closer.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey guys, just a reminder, if you want to hear all of these wonderful B Plus podcast episodes completely ad-free, make sure you head over to Patreon or Podbean, where we are the featured podcast this week. You can subscribe for as little as $1 a month up to $10 a month, where anything you want to help us with, it really helps out. It's going to help us grow the site. It's going to help us redesign some things, and everything that we get through this and through the advertising as well is all going straight back into the podcast so that we can get Aussie Graps out there for the rest of the world to hear about, for the rest of the world to see, so we can grow this mission of watch global, support local, and build indie wrestling. So if you want to be a part of that and get some really cool rewards like call-in shows, bonus episodes, ad-free like I mentioned, then head over to patreon.com/theb+ and subscribe today. Hey everyone, just want to take a second to tell you about one of our new sponsors, Outbreak Nutrition. Outbreak Nutrition are creating supplements for survival, sharper minds, quicker reflexes, all the energy you need to take your performance to the next level, whether that be on the field, in the gym, on the gaming field. That's right, they have specifically designed gaming supplements as well to help you focus on those late night sessions. They even sell coffee, you guys, at Outbreak Nutrition. You can get coffee pods, you can get coffee beans, you can get supplements for the bedroom as well if you want to enhance your performance there. These are performance enhancing supplements for every aspect of your life, specifically designed by gamers, for gamers, to stay fit and healthy in the gym, to stay sharp and focused on the game, and to dominate in all areas of life. So check out OutbreakNutrition.com, and for being a listener of our podcast, they will give you 10% off your order when you enter the code B+. That is BPLUS at checkout. So make sure, if you want to stay on top of your game, if you want to take your performance to the next level, OutbreakNutrition.com, enter the code B+ at checkout.
But that is going on concurrently. Let's preview the big destruction shows. There are 3 of them, like I said. On Sunday, September the 15th, Destruction in Beppu. The top 2 matches are Tomohiro Ishii and Yoshihashi teaming up to represent Chaos and challenge GOD for the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Championships. This was set up by God's involvement in Ishii versus Kenta's match at Royal Quest. Now, listen. I completely do not give 2 shits about Yoshihashi. I know some of you may have different opinions about that, and that's fine. But I have 0 care in Yoshihashi. I'm assuming GOD is going to retain, because GOD almost feels like the Briscoes of New Japan, where they're just like the default tag champs. Obviously, the Briscoes are much more of a staple of Ring of Honor's act than GOD is in New Japan's. But in terms of the tag division, that's just how I feel. I'm assuming GOD is going to win. Ishii and Yoshihashi could win. As many others have talked about, the tag division is not exactly Gedo's focus. So he could pass it to him. GOD could win it back in a month. I don't fucking know. But I think GOD's retaining. I think Yoshihashi's eating the pin. And I think Ishii is going to get back in the swing of things. And maybe get ready for a program for one of the Wrestle Kingdom shows. Because you gotta think, with 2 cards to fill out at Wrestle Kingdom, Ishii's gonna have a singles match on at least one of them, if not both. So I'm assuming after this Destruction tour, I'm gonna hope at least, that we start getting some hints as to what Ishii's Tokyo Dome angle / match is. Also on the 15th, we have Zack Sabre Jr. challenging Hiroshi Tanahashi for the RPW Heavyweight Belt. Now, listen, I don't know who's going to win this. I thought Zack was going to retain the copper box. It would feel weird for Zack to just win it right back, because then it's like he only dropped it to get another match on the Destruction Tour, which is possible. I don't know how Rev Pro would feel about that. Maybe they don't care because the belt's just being defended on New Japan. More folks are seeing it. So, I feel like if I had to guess, Zack's winning it back. I hope that's the end of Zack Tana. I don't think it is. But I think Zach's going to win it back. Because I don't think Tana's going to defend it too much. I'm going with Zach. I'm assuming it'll be a good match. They always have good matches. I'm assuming it'll be a lot like the one we saw at the Copper Box, to be completely honest with you. Very grapply. Easily worked in terms of not taking too much punishment. So, we'll see. Those are the top 2 matches on the 15th. Destruction in Kagoshima, I think that's it. In Kagoshima on Monday, September the 16th. Second from the top, we have the Birds of Prey tag team. Will Ospreay and Robbie Eagles, Australia's own, challenging El Phantasmo and Taiji Ishimori for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag titles. Will Ospreay will be defending his junior belt against ELP later on. So, because ELP won the Super J Cup, earned a right to challenge Will Ospreay. So, I don't know how this is going to go down. I feel like neither Will Ospreay nor ELP at the end of all of this will have both the junior heavyweight belt and the junior heavyweight tag belts. So I feel like whoever wins this is not winning the singles title match between the two. I feel like, are they really going to put Will Ospreay in the junior tag tourney coming up? Like, that can't be it, right? But him and Robbie would be a great addition to that tournament. They'd obviously have some killer matches. Ospreay's done every other tournament for this company this year. Really, the only tournament he hasn't done is the Young Lions Cup. But he's done the New Japan Cup. He's done Best of the Super Juniors. He's done the G1. Why not do the Junior World Tag League? And on top of that, why not do the Heavyweight World Tag League? So I personally am going to go with Birds of Prey winning here. And I think Ospreay's going to drop the junior title to ELP in the fall. And I think, I'm not even going to go in to start predicting the Junior World Tag League. That's too far out. So I'm going with Birds of Prey to win the titles from ELP and Taiji Ishimori here. Because on top of that, ELP and Taiji Ishimori have held the belts for a few months. These also aren't belts that are terribly protected. They tend to pass around fairly often. I'm going with Eagles and Ospreay for Eagles to get his first belt in general in New Japan. The main event on that show, the Kagoshima show on the 16th, is Kota Ibushi defending his briefcase, his G1 briefcase against Kenta, who is the new Never Openweight champion. You gotta think Ibushi's retaining. I've heard so many people say that at some point, the winner of this briefcase has to lose the briefcase in one of these briefcase defense matches. Why? Why? Everyone already thinks it's going to happen. So it's already, you don't need to do it to establish, people think it's going to happen. People already think it's going to happen. I don't think they ever need to. Now, the year may come where it's smart to do. I don't think it's smart to do here. Because I don't think Kenta's going to be in one of the main events, the Tokyo Dome. Well, maybe, but we'll talk about that in a second. I don't think this is the year to do it. I don't know if New Japan ever has to do it. To be honest, I wouldn't. Because I feel like that so negates the G1. And the G1 behind the Tokyo Dome Wrestle Kingdom shows makes you the most money of the year. Don't cheapen the G1. You don't ever need to have the briefcase winner drop it in one of these defense matches. People are already buying that it might happen one year. They're doing the work for you by being quote-unquote smart bookers. It's like, they gotta do it to establish it. Listen, it's already in your head. Don't worry about it. And I don't think that's happening here. This match should be excellent. I think it'll be better than their Dallas match they had to open up the G1. I think they both have something to prove after that match, because that match was good, but below expectations, I think. And Ibushi's going to win here. Kenta's still going to look good in doing it. And Ibushi, I believe, will go on to do that mini tournament that everyone is speculating about for the 2 Tokyo Dome shows. I am on that bandwagon too. I think that's happening. I think it's going to be Ibushi, White, Naito, and Okada. I almost said Okada. Okada as the 4 for that tournament, with the winner walking out the double champ. I think Ibushi's in that 4, so I think him dropping the briefcase here would be irrelevant. I don't think Kenta is going to be in that mix. Plus, he's got the never openweight title to defend against Shibata, which I believe is going to happen. And until those dome shows come and pass, I will not relent from that belief. Call me a conspiracy theorist, I believe it's happening. Moving on to the Destruction Show in Kobe on September the 22nd. We have the last 2 matches of the Young Lions Cup. Now, this is a straight round robin, no finals match. It's just whoever has the most points at the end of the round robin wins. And the last 2 matches which are taking place on Kobe, the last 2 matches of this cup are Shota Umino versus Carl Fredericks and Ren Narita versus, what is Connor's first name? Clark Connors. I was brain farting there. Ren Narita versus Clark Connors. So, as Dave Meltzer pointed out, which makes obvious sense, I don't know why I didn't think of it until he pointed it out, you gotta think the winner is gonna be one of those 4 men, because it's the last tournament matches. These are the only 2 Young Lions Cup matches happening on the Kobe show. So you gotta think it's one of those 2. And you gotta think all 4 of these men are gonna be in the mix going into that last day. Now, Ren Narita has a head-to-head win over Carl Fredericks, like I talked about earlier. I think Ren Narita's winning the Young Lions Cup. I think Fredericks is gonna beat Umino. Narita's going to be Connors. I think Narita and Fredericks may have a points tie, but because Narita has the head-to-head, Narita's going to win the tournament. That's what I think is going down in Kobe. Which makes sense. Narita got to participate in the Best of the Super Juniors tournament. You can argue that gave him tournament experience and an edge over these young lions. And it gives him the win. To me, that makes sense. I think Narita's ready for Excursion. I hope after this he goes on Excursion. And then he comes back to New Japan as a kick-ass junior. Because Ren Narita's pretty kick-ass. That's where I think this Young Lions Cup is going. The semi-main, we had Hiroki Goto versus Shingo Takagi. No title on the line, no explicit implications. Just a kick-ass match, which I'm very excited about. These 2 are 2 very good wrestlers. In the semi-main of a minor show, they will have a very good match, no doubt. You gotta think Shingo's gonna win. He is a more pushed commodity than Goto. I'm going with Shingo. And I have no idea what Shingo's gonna do for the Dome. But you gotta think he's good enough to have a one-on-one match in one of those shows. Because listen, 2 Tokyo Dome cards, that's at least 16 matches. How can you not have Shingo Takagi have a singles match in one of those 16 matches? There's no way. Now, who he's facing, what his program's going to be, I don't know. I don't even have an idea of a prediction. But you gotta think that's coming. So hopefully we'll start getting that soon, because I am just anxious out of my fucking skin to know what the fuck these Tokyo Dome cards are. Because they have to be huge. They're going to want to sell 80,000 tickets between these 2 nights. You gotta think that's their goal. They're going to pull out all the stops to do that. So I'm just so excited to see these cards because I'm assuming they're just going to be amazing. And the main event on that show, and thus the main event of the whole tour, is Tetsuya Naito defending the Intercontinental Championship against Jay White. This will be a good match. I don't think anyone's doubting that. I have seen and heard arguments on both sides of who's going to win and who should win. I think Tetsuya Naito wins. Retains the IC belt over Jay White. To not get his win back over Jay White might be too on the nose, but essentially to 1, get his win back. And 2, I think he's walking in to that mini tournament on January 4th and 5th as the IC champion. I think he will successfully defend it on the first night, and on the second night, in the double title match, he's going to successfully defend it and win the heavyweight title. I think that's what's going to happen. So I'm going with Naito here. Oh, fuck. Now I'm second guessing myself. I'm going to stick with my pick. Although, I want it to be known, I will not be terribly surprised if Jay White wins. Because I think him getting an IC title run going into that tournament, I don't know if that would elevate his status. I think they want his status to be elevated, because Jay White definitely feels like the fourth of the big four, if you know what I mean. Both in terms of talent, if I can be frank, in quality of matches, and popularity. I get he's a heel, but you know what I mean when I say popularity. So, I could see them putting it on White to give him a boost, but I think Naito's retaining. And walking into the Tokyo Dome as the IC champ already for that double title tournament, which I am convinced is happening. So there you go, you have my thoughts on the whole Destruction Tour, or at least on the important matches. I think a lot of these matches will be good. I think the semi-mains and mains of the 3 Destruction shows will all be good. I can't see a bad match among them. So at least those will be worth checking out. That does mean that the undercards... It really does mean that only the top 2 matches on those Destruction shows feel like they have any meaning. Not that there aren't certain pins that could happen on the tag matches underneath that could impact stuff, but Destruction's a smaller tour, so really only the top matches feel like they matter. Unless I hear about something important happening on the undercards, I'll probably only be watching the top matches on these Destruction shows. Because reviewing wrestling isn't my job. I wish it were. If it were, I could probably watch all these matches, because I would have time for it. But I don't. So, those are my thoughts on what's been going on with New Japan lately, what I think is coming up on the Destruction Tour. We've had good stuff behind us, plenty of good stuff ahead of us, and now we are inching closer and closer to that double Tokyo Dome weekend, which I cannot wait for. And you gotta think every show, every decision, every match leading up to that is going to be feeding into those storylines and matches. So we'll be talking about that basically every time we do Tokyo Dreamin episodes moving forward, because we always want to keep that in mind when we're talking about the booking in New Japan. That said, this has been the Wrestling Landscape Podcast. I am your host, Lance Larson. Thank you so much for listening, and take care.